I still think the banking sector has been the key driver of the market, and most especially with the kind of result that came from them was a little bit surprising. We were expecting the negative in turn, but even if you in turn the result were not like what they were last year quarters, but they were not as bad as most people thought they will be. So since then, you've seen investors begin to move in within the banking sectors, especially surprising in the tier two banks like FCMB and Fidelity Bank seems to be one of the biggest movers during this downturn. Most of them moved from almost 1 naira 78 to 2 naira. Fidelity close at two, I mean FCMB close at 210, and also Fidelity is also get about. So and investors were moving in between those stocks because we're looking at the dividend payout also from Zenith Bank, from UBA, from Access Bank. So those were definitely, at times like this, cash is king. So most investors were moving to get liquidity and look at good entry points, knowing fully well that we are not going to see the foreign investors anytime soon. So it has become a market for the Nigerian investors, and I think they've had it good.
All right, Muktar, I wanted to get your thoughts on the outcome of the MPC meeting, because I think if we analyze the outcome, many are seeing this as the central bank pretty much suggesting that they are no longer going to try and attract foreign investment flows. And I wanted
Yeah.
to hear your thoughts about how that could potentially impact the equities market.
I think, Wale, you know what I keep saying, that we should be the owners of our market. The foreign investor come in there like make the hot money and go away. And so now that we are beginning to look inwardly to solve our problem. I don't think the foreign investors will not come. If you look at what the CBN is trying to do, I don't think the foreign investors will not come. I think they will still come if we are able to maintain stability in the exchange rate regime, because Nigerian market is still one of the best markets for them in terms of profitability, especially if we are able to get that exchange rate volatility in check. So they will still come. I don't think the CBN does that just not to attract foreign investors. I think the CBN is looking at an inward solution to Nigerian economic problem, and that's why I think they came out with most of what we've seen them doing. But even if you look at that now, the forex, to tell you that they want to attract the foreign investors, maybe not directly. They are trying to come up instead of intervening like we see the last time they came up with the import export window. Now they are trying to look at infringement, most of lack of corporate governance in the area of these foreign forex transactions. So we know that if we are able to get that right, we'll bring stability to the exchange rate, and we attract the foreign investors to come, because no matter how you see it, we need the foreign investors in the market because of the kind of liquidity they bring in. What we've seen in the market, we see a short-term bullish run, and then we see that will be cut short because of the challenges that have to do with liquidity, and we don't have those big Nigerian retail investors are still small. The corporate investors like the pension fund administrators, they are not really coming into the institutional investors, like they are not really playing the market yet because they are looking at the risk level of the market. So we will still get those foreign investors to come to Nigeria as long as we are able to tame the pressure on the exchange rate. Once we do that, they will come because our market is still one of the best market in Africa. Once we can do that and create a two-way exchange system whereby they can exit our market, they will definitely come.
Well, I can see a very optimistic view on all the conditions that will attract those foreign investor flows, but many are not as optimistic as you, looking at how things have played out in the forex markets recently. But moving on from just foreign investors, let's focus on the market for a second here. Today we saw the oil and gas index up 2%. Do you get the sense that there may be a sustainable rally in that space, or are you more worried about what we're seeing with the price of oil?
I think that space, where we are seeing what we're seeing in that space, has little to do with price of oil. That's one sector that investors have been crying in the area that they wanted that area to be deregulated, and government has come out clearly that we have finally deregulated that sector. And I think that is basically what is playing out in that sector, because most of the companies that you see some of those rallies, because we're looking at the deregulation policy going forward, that it will help in bringing investment to that sector, and it helps in the bottom line of most of those companies. So for me, I think that's what is making investors attracted to that sector. Will it be sustained? It needs to be sustained with corporate governance, and it needs to be sustained with good entry and good results. We saw that for the time being, Owando have not been giving us those good results. Fota Oil also, and even corn oil, they've not given us those results. The only good news you see in that area in terms for investors is Mobi Oil. So once those corporate results comes in, and we're able to key in based on what we see through the deregulation policy, then that's when we can say this rally can be sustained. I think now investors are looking at sometimes the penny nature of this company, the price of oil going up, and also keeping in context also the deregulation of that sector. So will it be sustained? If the government does not go back on their word that deregulation have come to stay, not to forget that the Nigerian Labour Congress have said that there are going to be a massive shutdown by Monday on 28th. So if that comes and the government bends, then we will begin to have challenge in that sector also.
All right. In less than a minute, if you can just highlight for us the stocks that you like most on the market right now.
I think I still like the banking sector, not because of the result that I will see, but the cheap nature, especially banks like FCMB, Fidelity Bank, Zenith Bank, GTB, First Bank, and others, just because of the cheap nature of those equity and the good strong fundamentals they have by and by their half-year results. I think that is why I'm going to look at that sector. And if you tell me to look at other sectors, I'll still look at the conglomerated sector also. I'll still look at the oil sector, but with a long spoon, trying to look at, be very cautious about it, looking if the deregulation policy has come to stay. If it has come to stay, then that's a sector that will become the taste of investors.